Do a giveaway.
Yup. Why is it echoing? Nope.
What's up, party people? Guys, you sure it's not your computer?
I don't hear it anymore. Is it echoing? Hello, hello. Oh, hold on. I know what it is. That should be good.
Why so dramatic? Guys, we have an absolutely crazy show lined up today. So, meanwhile, jump into Gibby.
Happy Thursday, y'all. Happy Thursday.
When I tell you we got a crazy show lined up, it's crazy. Trust me. Trust me on this. Guys, make sure you share this one out. We have been really busy over the last 2 to 3 days.
Kory in the house.
Kory in the house.
You forgot. You already forgot.
Attention, 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 attention. Kory is in the building. I repeat.
Hi, to wife.
Kory is in the building. Put away your children. Put away your kids. Grab your soda. Grab your drink. It's time to get busy. Look at that. You got the props and everything. All right, guys. This is going to be a crazy show. I'm just telling you right now. An absolutely.
What's up? What up?
What's up, my dude? Oh, hold on. Let me swipe to the right on that. Let me swipe that chat out of there.
Holy shit, bro. You don't even understand how busy we've been in the last 48 hours.
We got some surprises for you.
Busy is good.
Yeah,
busy is good.
Busy
is definitely good.
We made a couple phone calls to some very important people. We got some shit done.
Yeah. Let's go.
Guys, so first and foremost, Kory, thank you for your time. We were in your show earlier today. I don't even know how you do it.
Being here, man.
I don't know if kombucha does it for you, bro, but I don't know. You're like doing a 365-day tour where you're touring for 364 days. I don't even know how you do it, man. Seriously, it takes a lot to put that much energy, especially if you're traveling. So we know your time is limited, man. Super appreciate you coming in, and we got some cool stuff lined up for you, man. Super cool. So before we get started, normally what happens is we have a couple minutes beforehand. So I'm just going to do a quick update, Kory, while we got you on. And I want to also have you recap your schedule for the next, seems like year, in essence, right? So before we do that, a couple things. We have for BeeSquared, for you guys don't know, we're BeeSquared, well, this is BeeSquared BuzzChat, but we're BeeSquared Trading Post. We have an early bird contest with early bird pickers on 5 or 6/8.
Yep.
So if you guys don't know that contest, basically we were $500 is the budget.
Yep, that's our budget.
Go out,
go to a yard sale,
estate sale, flea market, buy as much as you can for $500, sell as much as you can. Whoever sells the most wins $100. So
interesting.
That's
awesome.
on Sunday.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Now, also, since then, we've come up with a separate idea, Kory, which you may want to be involved in if you ever get a day off. And anybody in the chat is we want to come up with a Whatnot challenge. So spend $500 on Whatnot. That way we can support sellers, source on Whatnot, support sellers, and then turn back around and do the same thing, which is see how much we can earn off the 500. And the winner gets. So that's pretty cool, right? So we're going to talk about that in the oncoming days. So, but we want to make sure we get to Kory because again, I know your time's super limited, and we got a lot of stuff lined up. Bro. I'm just telling
Let's go.
Strap in and strap on. That's all I can tell you. So the 6-9 raid train is on Monday. You're somehow fitting that into your schedule. So that's Kory's raid train, 6-9. So it's on 6-9. It's after 69. $6.90 max shipping.
Max shipping, yep.
Right? So that's going to be fun.
69 items.
You got to at least sell 69 items. So we'll ask you to talk about that in just a second. So that's on Monday, 6-9. So guys, make sure you bookmark Kory's show, and please bookmark our show. A lot of really good sellers in that
yeah,
show.
You can probably
so
name some sellers.
yeah, we're super excited about that, and we'll touch on that in a second.
Gonna be fun.
And also we have a Discord channel coming up. She's making the Discord channel right now. It's going to be a seller help Discord channel.
Nice.
The biggest challenge, you know, Kory, I'm sure we read your book, we watch your shows, we see what everyone's feedback is. The biggest single challenge is shipping. So we want to try to put together a community of people that can help with that for not only new sellers, but also experienced sellers, because there's always tips and tricks you can learn. So
absolutely,
she's working on that right now. So that's coming up. And then the seller meetup in Maryland, which you and Abandoned Treasures Reclaim, that is on 9/13, which she's going to have surgery in August. So
end of August.
I may, depending on the recovery, may make
Hopefully
that
I can
trip by
make
myself. But that's going to be a good one. And you talked about it.
We're going to try to get there.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to try to.
Yeah, we have some people that live up in Maryland, but Frederick is a cozy little town. So you talked a lot about that earlier. And then we're also doing, the final thing is we have a mod appreciation a mod appreciation show on the 20th of this month to show appreciation to our mods. Because one thing that we did not have for the first 4 months were good mods, and you don't know how big of a difference it makes
until you get them.
Until you get them. So we're going to show our mods some love. That's going to be on the 20th. So make sure you bookmark that show. So
awesome.
Yeah,
you did good. Oh wait, it's a little housekeeping, guys, just so you know. This is a podcast format. So as much as we would love to answer every single question that's going to come up in the chat, we're not going to be able to get to all of them. But what our mods do is, and we glance over every once in a while because we really want to give all of our attention to Kory. So what the mods do is they will give us some questions. We'll write some of the questions that we think are great, and then maybe at the end we'll let you answer some questions from the chat. How's that sound?
Yeah, perfect. What we want to do is inquiring minds want to know, Kory. So you mentioned earlier in your show a couple shows back, and you know we have.
Wait, we didn't even mention this.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna let them get into it in a second.
Well, we forgot about that. But we didn't forget.
No,
we didn't forget. It's right here.
Yeah, we got your whole setup for that.
I read it. It's great.
That you want all questions or no questions to be off limits. So to the chat,
yep.
If there's any specific questions that you want us to ask Kory, aside from the ones we already have preloaded, that you want to know about Kory that you don't already know, put them in the chat. Mods will let us know. And through the course of this podcast, we'll chat, man, and see if you're willing to give us information about you that we don't already know. So that being said,
so we've been
well, hold on, he's got a it's his song.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But we've been hear us out. Keep an open mind, Kory. Keep an open mind.
Yeah, hear us out.
You know, your little jingle, your little You don't even what? You don't even what?
You gonna do a rendition for us, man?
I don't even know my name. Y'all want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Look at that. The man comes prepared.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
I don't even know my name. That's because you drive me insane. I don't want to play this game. Why don't you just go away?
We were blessed enough to be there when this whole thing was created. Now, we love the rendition, man. Right? We really believe.
Where'd your hat go?
We really believe I took it off. We really believe we can give this music thing a run. Right?
Let's go.
Inspired. We have been inspired.
So
the last 2 days, we reached out to some people that we know. If you don't know about us, Kory, we're big music fans. Big music fans. We reached out. We have a personal contact, Eric Clacton. And we also reached out. We also reached out to Quincy Tones.
And Quincy Tones.
Right. So they helped us put together something that we think, we really believe we can give it a shot. So let's go ahead.
So let's see. Let's see if you like this.
Yeah, we'll see if you like this. Chat, see if you like this. Yeah, that's what I'm talking
I
about.
love it.
We know people that know people. Right?
Oh
We're
shit.
working hard, man. We went to the garage. We pulled out the musical instruments. We called the people we know.
Been in production.
We think we could take this somewhere, man.
Let's
so
go.
We just need to get together. We need to get together and talk about how we're going to grow this model. So
how
I'm
strong
down.
is that?
I like that. Yeah, the guitar, the music, all brings it in a little bit more better.
Yeah.
So
I think we could do big things.
We think we could take both versions, and we think we can go platinum.
Let's do it.
A little bit of work, but
yeah, I'm
all
down.
right. Now that we got that craziness out the way, holy shit. So again, thanks, man. So let's jump right in, man. First thing I think we want to do is, again, thank you for being on the show.
Congratulations on 75K,
man. I mean, that's a big deal. I remember the first time, I don't know if Nita was with me. I think she might have been, but I watched your 10,000 show. You're in, I believe, your garage at the time, and you were just running some stuff off the shelves and all that. And we were brand new to the channel. I think we had a couple hundred followers, maybe at that.
Yeah.
And 10,000 followers at that point was a super big number
for
anyone
huge.
that's new to the platform. Man, that's like a year and a half ago, bro.
Not even.
Right. Yeah. So now,
right.
A year and a half later, 65 additional thousand followers, which, I mean, that's just a crazy number. So, I mean, for the people that don't know, man, kind of share with us your journey on whatnot. And we know if you watch your channels, you do a lot of stuff in the communities. That's a big thing. But just talk about your journey on whatnot, if you would, man. Share with us kind of where you were at then and where you're at now.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you all so much for having me. I love doing the podcast, and I was greatly appreciated for the invitation. So thank you all both for this opportunity. So
appreciate you stopping in.
When I first started Whatnot, I was dabbling into eBay, just like probably most of anybody was, right? You'd reselling on eBay, kind of like part-time, just kind of having fun. And so someone that I was a friend with, or not a friend with, but an acquaintance with through past relationships, he heard that I was selling on eBay, and he just, gently told me, hey, you should check out Whatnot. I've heard it's a pretty cool place, and it's a new innovative app. So I checked it out. I signed up in October of 2023, not really thinking much about it. Didn't even really do a show for the first couple months. And then I started doing some shows at the beginning of January, February of 2024. And so I started off real slow and just trying to find, what worked best for me. I was selling stuff from my house, selling stuff out of my garage, estate sales, storage units, garage sales, just whatever. And then probably 10, 15 shows in, I was like, man, this seems like it could go somewhere, but I'm just not gaining much traction. And I don't even know if this is for me or not. I really wasn't doing that well. And then I just started thinking outside the box. I started telling myself I need to try things differently than everybody else and kind of separate myself from the group of people that are all the same. So when I started to kind of think outside the box a little bit, be a little bit more consistent with my shows, start removing the emotional attachment that I had to any price that was listed on eBay or other platforms, that's when I kind of started to really gain some ground. And then one time, that's back when I had 10, 15, 20 people in my show. One time I was on the way home from buying a storage unit, and I was like, screw this. I'm just going to try something totally new. I'm going to back up the car, and I'm going to unload the boxes on camera and do like a blind live unboxing. And to my knowledge, at that time, there was literally nobody doing that. I don't want to say that I was the first person, because I don't know, because I'm not watching everybody, but there wasn't really that many people doing it. And then I started doing that, and I started realizing that just because I didn't think it was going to sell, or I didn't think it was treasure, there's other people that do want it. And so I started selling my storage units just right out of the back of my car and in my garage. And I started realizing that I would sell 10 to 15% of the stuff in the storage unit, and I would be in profit, or I would even be doubling my storage unit value at that time. And I was like, yo, this is a game changer. And then I slowly started seeing more sellers pick up on the same thing because they were in my show going, holy shit, I can't believe he's selling that. Even if I was selling stuff for $4, $5, $6, still that stuff adds up. You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to get return on your investment when you picking up a storage unit. So that's when I really started to gain ground. I started picking up the 30 to 40 following. I started being goofy. I started getting really, really comfortable with just who I am and not really giving a shit about what anybody thought about me, just being so comfortable. I could sing, I could dance, I could goof off with people and just have some fun. And then they implemented the reduced shipping aspect on Whatnot. And the day they introduced reduced shipping, I switched over to reduced shipping. And that's when I went from like 60, 70, 80 people on my show and started bumping up. And then I started going to live estate sales and started liquidating the estate sales. And those estate sales companies, I built a really good relationship with them. And they started inviting me into the estate sales after the sale was over and even before the sale began. And that's when I started having 100, 120 people in my shows. And then I got a phone call from a buddy in Missouri and said, Kory, hey, man, I can't get anybody in my show. And if you come sell my stuff, I'm trying to move to Florida. If you just come sell my stuff, I know I'm going to make way more money than if I sold it myself. So I was like, screw it. I'll take the 14-hour drive up to Missouri and I'll come sell your stuff. And I think we did about 25,000 in 2 days. And the rest is history. I've been flying, driving all over the country. I've done hundreds of liquidations, anywhere from Seattle to San Diego to Florida to Oklahoma, Texas, New York, New Hampshire, everywhere in between. And so I think my show does really well because I offer something very unique. I'm going into different estate sales all over the country, different storage units, different people's collections. And one day you'll see me in Texas, one day you'll see me in New Orleans, and the next day you'll see me in Orlando. And I'm always offering a really good starting price, and you never have to pay more than the reduced shipping, which is $9.21. So I just try to stay as consistent as possible, and I really like to support the community as much as possible. And I think the whole recipe of what I have designed for my channel is kind of what separates me from just the normal seller on Whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, there's I mean, again, I think the last year kind of speaks for itself.
Because we've watched it. We've watched all this.
To me,
everything you talked about, we watched that develop.
Everything you just said is amazing, but it's still hard to wrap your head around the growth model in 1 year. There's a lot to unpack there. So if you don't mind, let me just unpack a little bit of that because, we consider ourselves a new seller.
Yep.
And there are sellers who are much more established than we are, and there are sellers who are probably for the first time ever are tuning into this podcast. So that's a lot, right? So I think I remember, in fact, I don't think I remember. I remember one time you were selling out of a warehouse. Did your brother used to work with you at one point?
No. So that was Flips, a guy that I hired. He worked with me for about a year. His name on here is Castle and Flips.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I was watching a show. This goes back well over a year ago, and you were in your warehouse selling some stuff, and somebody came by. I think bought something off of Facebook. I'm guessing, and you literally stopped the show. I could hear you talking to the guy in the background. I don't know what he was buying. He bought something. You hopped back on the show and kept going. And again, at that point, we didn't know what we didn't know, right? I mean, there's in the beginning when you're on Whatnot, it's a whirlwind of stuff. You have no idea what's going on.
There's so many. We always say there's so many nuances. You know this. We're not telling you anything you don't know.
You're doing the best you can just to get on and sell something.
You've navigated it in a way that is just. I mean, it's remarkable. It's brilliant, actually.
And we have the benefit of watching that, and now we have the benefit of interviewing these people and trying to get some of that insight. So, because it's what you see on camera and what you see behind the scenes, completely different.
That's true.
Completely different. So
that's very true.
But my point in saying all that is, in the beginning, and I was watching your shows. Again, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, but I'm watching your shows and going, I don't know if I like that stuff, right? Like,
like when you would just sell something.
You would grab a bag.
It's amazing
from a storage locker, go through and sell piece by piece. I was like,
I can't do that.
I don't understand that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't understand the model. but that's all a means to an end, right? Right. Ultimately, is what we have learned and we don't implement enough is
People buy anything.
people love randomness.
Yeah.
They love randomness, and if you can sprinkle in the randomness with the dynamic of the channel.
And the hunt.
Right?
They like
because,
the hunt too.
Because as we go through the balance of this podcast, we'll talk about some dynamic stuff in terms of what you do and what you have accomplished and how you got there. They love the mix of all that, right? They like the dynamic, they like the personality, they like the edginess, right? You would agree that's probably a really big, catalyst for your channel.
Yeah, Bill and I were talking, and I was like, you know what Kory is? Kory is the Howard Stern of whatnot. Right, the shock jock in a way.
Yeah,
in a way, not like he's nuts. Like he's nuts, of course.
Well,
but
there was a time where he wasn't nuts, but
on a not such a crazy level. But it works because people like it because they're being entertained.
No doubt.
They don't. It's not for people. We were just talking about this we did a seller help, and we were saying that, and you let us your opinion on it. Do you think that this app is more of a 70-30 social aspect? 70% you got to put into the social aspect of it, 30% in the rest
that you run.
Or do you think it's more of a 60-40, or what do you think?
Yeah, so I think it might be 50-50, possibly 60-40. I think that people definitely want to be included and they want entertainment. They want to connect with people, right? And then obviously people want to be shopping and stuff like that. So I definitely think bringing both of those aspects into your channel is a major important thing to have.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and we, up until now, we haven't done on camera when we run our stuff. I mean, we are often in front of the camera, but it's not a stream that is built in terms of being in front of the camera, and that's something that we're working on.
Kind of like you do. Actually, you're not always on camera either. You put the camera on the item, but you also flip the camera and you talk and chat and relate, and then flip it around when it's time to do business.
Yep.
And I think that balance is what people want.
Right.
Because we've done that before too. Like, do you like on the camera or just on the item? And that comes up, what, 60-40?
Right.
Same thing, 60-40.
Well, but
on the item.
But you said something a second ago, and a lot of people, like, we're not uncomfortable being in front of the camera. Mm-mm. It's just not how we've ran up until this point.
Right.
But you said something a second ago, which is you just don't give a shit what people think. Right.
Yep. And a lot of people gotta get that in their heads on this app.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are stuck with what people think. And that is in my background, that's what we call limiting belief, right? Which is people don't really give a shit about all that because they're showing up to be entertained or to have fun or to connect with other people in the chat and to buy stuff.
Yep.
So the last thing I think on people's minds are, what color underwear. Well, maybe for you, they want to know what color underwear you have. You had a rip in your shorts earlier today, just so you know. I don't know if you knew that or not.
You did not. Really?
No, I still do. I'm wearing the shorts that have a hole in them. Absolutely.
Did you fart too hard? Blue holes?
No. I actually found out during an auction when I was in Orlando and I itched my ass and I was like, I'm touching my skin right now. How the hell do I have a hole in my shorts?
Did you give yourself a slippy?
Yes. Yes.
All right. It's not designed to go off the rails yet.
It always goes off the rails, just so you know.
So
I do not wear underwear.
Yeah, we caught that, just so you know.
That's hilarious. But I think that, so let's talk about your book, right?
Yeah. So congratulations. It takes a lot to do that, by the way.
It was great. I read it. I read every bit of it. I think everything is in it. I picked up some favorite parts of it. But first, tell everybody where they can get it and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the times, well, I don't want to say a lot of the times, I have had this book in my Buy It Now, and you can get the signed copy from me, but it's currently sold out twice now. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of copies here on Whatnot, but if you can't get it from me, which currently you can't, you have to go to Amazon to get it. Just type in the Amazon search bar, run that shit, and it'll come up. There for a while, when it was considered a new release, it was the number one bestseller. There was the number one best-selling book under the business category among new releases, but it's not considered a new release anymore, but it's still doing really well. There's not a day that has gone by that I haven't sold one on Amazon. So that's pretty cool. When I wrote this book, I used to do seller support shows when I was a little bit less busy traveling. I used to try to do them like once or twice a month. And people seemed to really like the information that I was giving them. And So during these seller support shows, I would be jotting down notes that I wanted to talk about to kind of stay organized and be efficient. So after 6 7 months of doing these seller support shows, I had a bunch of notes. And so what I did was I started putting all these notes together. I made chapters out of the notes, and then I just started kind of adding on to each chapter and each note. So it took me about 10 months to put all of this together because I've never wrote a book. I
Right.
wouldn't have, like, I started asking different people, hey, can you help me get this published? I have no idea how to go through that process. And
Right.
so I was in Pennsylvania doing a auction with Vault Gems, and I met his wife who has wrote a book and published it. And I was like, girl, I will pay you money to get this published. And she did a phenomenal job at finishing the editing part of the book and getting it published, and I appreciate her so much. And so yeah, we got this book published. It's a very easy read. It's very
Yep.
layman's terms, very short, simple, and
Yeah.
it basically just points you in the right direction to give you some of the recipe for success here on Whatnot, anywhere from consistency to networking to being honest and dedicated to your viewership, sourcing skills, shipping, all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
we put this book together. I wasn't sure about the title at first. I was like, is Amazon even gonna run that shit? And then
Right.
I thought there was no better title other than run that shit,
Yeah, man.
because
That's
that's
because
what
you
you're
built your brand
supposed to
around
That's
that.
your
do.
slogan.
Yeah,
Yeah, you built your entire brand
that's
around that.
Yeah.
that is the aspect of Whatnot, is just running that shit. RTS. So that's what we did. And then the subtitle is how to make six figures as a live streaming reseller. Of course, this was when I was at six figures. Now I'm at seven. So that's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, that's the book. You can get it on
Yeah.
Amazon, and I appreciate the love and support.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's amazing. Did you have some specific passages in
No,
there?
I was just going to tell everybody that if you get the book, he also puts resources at the end for coaching and things like that. It's a very, very, everyone, if you plan on selling on Whatnot, just get this book. I wish we would have had this in the beginning, because not only it gets into theory, right? And that's what I like, because Whatnot is one of those things that you can't just put your finger on. It's not how it works. There's so many variables, right? And so I like how the theory's on it. And I like, my favorites on here are consistency, be yourself when you're running, honesty, be honest with everything, we're over honest. And I love that. That is so important.
Yeah.
And the importance of networking. A lot of theory is in it, and it has to be, because that's just Whatnot. It really is.
Well, I think and to be honest, to be completely transparent and honest, we have done very well on other platforms for many, many years.
Right.
And those platforms are find an item, do the best job you can, sell it. There's no personal
Right, describing it,
relationship.
taking
There's no
pictures.
personal relationship with the buyer,
Right.
and provide good customer service. The intangible stuff on Whatnot does not exist outside of Whatnot. When we first started selling on Whatnot, and hopefully this is for the benefit of those in the chat who aren't too far into their journey, because it can be tough.
Right.
And it's still tough for us in a lot of senses, is Whatnot, if someone introduces you to the app, most likely you're being introduced as this is an app that you can go sell some shit quickly.
Right. On
You
the
can,
surface.
yeah, you can rummage through your house or buy some storage units or go to your neighbor or whatever, get some stuff, get online and sell anywhere from 5 to 105 items in a single night. And that's not what Whatnot is. That's what it can provide, but that's not what it is.
Not when you first get there.
Right. So it's a social platform that, if you develop it correctly, becomes a conduit to selling pretty much anything you want.
Anything.
So
I've seen you go to a soap lady and just buy her soaps and sell them right there on the spot.
but that was our old stomping ground.
Yeah, that's where we're from.
We hung on that beach hundreds of times.
And it's like that. So smart. Like, that is so smart.
Well,
the things that you do,
the
you
platform
get creative.
gives you an opportunity to do stuff like that. That's not something, in a lot of cases, that you can do on another platform, because from the purchase to the hold, there's this long period, right? You could actually do that at 10 o'clock in the morning and have those soaps sold at 10 o'clock the next day, impact the person that you bought it from, right? The vendor. Your audience gets amazing soap, and you get to turn around your inventory in 24 hours.
Yep.
Nowhere else provides that.
Nothing.
So as we've grown on this channel, we've come to respect the fact that we have to protect that, because that is an amazing, amazing ability to buy something on Monday and have it sold on Tuesday. There's nowhere else.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So for all the newer sellers, I say newer sellers, we are still newer. Please look at Whatnot differently. It is a platform that's going to give you a lot of opportunity, as evident by the stuff that you've.
Yeah, I think it's still way, way, way in its infancy. I think that it's going to be the big gorilla of reselling. No question. Do you agree?
Yeah. Speaking of which, what do you think? 24 months from now, where's Whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that Whatnot is definitely in its infancy, right? It's very new. It's a lot of people I talk to have just heard about it or maybe never heard about it. So I think it's going in the right direction. I do think it needs a lot of improvements in certain areas, but I think it's got a lot of really good things going for it. So there's ups and downs to Whatnot. Some of the ups is you can make a lot of money by liquidating a lot of inventory really quickly. Some of the downside is the lack of communication that they have with the sellers, the computer automated generated responses for certain issues. And some of us bigger sellers, and I don't look for any special treatment, but when I've sold over $1 million on this app, I think I deserve at least someone to have clarification when something goes wrong, rather than a computer generated automated response that gives me a very vague reply and I don't really know what the hell is going on.
Agreed.
It has a lot of good things going for it, but it definitely needs to improve in certain areas. I think it's ahead of the game when it comes to live streaming, reselling, and I'm here for the long run. But I do have some backup plans, of course.
Oh, always. Yeah, always.
Well, we both come from the business world, and the reality is bigger accounts get taken care of differently. That's just the way it works, man. That's the way that's business.
Not on Whatnot, though.
Well, I mean, but conceptually, right? Right. So, big accounts should have a liaison. It's not that big of a challenge. The labor expense is not that big.
That's exactly right.
And the reality is, it makes those businesses more efficient, because you can get a turnaround on the answers and the questions and concerns that you have, and then you can go back to selling stuff, which is how they make money. So it wouldn't seem difficult to put in a liaison program, to where you have someone you can call and get something resolved in a pretty quick period of time.
Yeah,
so.
you would think.
Definitely
think.
So,
real quick before we go in, we got 2 sponsor giveaways we want to get out of the way. The first one is Gamer Collectibles.
What? Gamer Collectibles.
Gamer Collectibles.
They got a big they have a big deal coming up, I think, with Philly Flipper, don't they? Philly's going up there and
does
doing, big liquidation. Hey, Gamer,
now's your moment, Gamer.
Yeah, Gamer.
Now's your moment.
And we don't do a bunch of sponsor
Thank
giveaways.
you, Slonk.
Yeah, we don't do a bunch of sponsor giveaways. Part of it is because we feel like
we don't want to take time from you.
Yeah, our channel is still growing, so we want to make sure we can add value. But
shout out to Gamers.
It's a $20 digital Amazon gift card. Get in that courtesy of Gamer Collectibles.
Gamers, please.
So if you are not following, please do so.
Okay, Gamers, put yourself in the chat. Let
us know what you got going on.
And I'm pretty certain that you have something coming up with Philly Flipper, where he's coming up and doing something with you as well. So please let the chat know, because my understanding is that's going to be a pretty big show. So.
Yeah.
Gamers, thank you so much. Appreciate you jumping on here and supporting my man.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, we saw the crazy video. I can make my way to Louisiana for the Kraken deal.
Oh.
Boy, you're gonna need a team of people.
You are, dude. That house is insane.
Yeah, you're gonna need a team of people, bro.
Guys, bookmark all Kory shows, because he's about to go to an insane. It's like a fun emporium.
Yeah,
it's a fun emporium.
I wanted to come down to Orlando, because that's only 2 hours south of us, which was a crazy house as well. Bro, never seen so many watches in my life.
Crazy.
Pocket watches,
and other stuff. I mean, dude,
it was wild.
You were doing really well. I'm sure that the company that brought you in, I'm sure they were really, really, really happy that you and your audience, your dedicated audience, showed up. But again, this is all about you, man. So tell us about Kraken. For those who may not have been on the show earlier today, you showed the video twice. I watched it twice. I'm trying to figure out how I can get to Louisiana, right? But for those who may not have watched who saw that, what do you got coming up with Kraken?
Yeah, so Kraken and me have been on this app communicating, networking. I've hung out with him in person. He's a wonderful dude. And he called me the other day and said, dude, you got to come to New Orleans. And plus, I've always been kind of teasing Kraken for like the last couple months because I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite places to go. I'm looking for an excuse to go. And so he calls me the other
Exactly.
day. He calls me shit, I think it was yesterday actually. It was that soon. And he's like, "Bro, I need you down here in New Orleans. I got this house. And and there's no way I can manhandle this house by myself. I'm going to need like a whole crew." And I was like, "All right, well, get finalize the deal and let me know. I'll get on a plane like tomorrow or something." And so late last night, about 10, 11 p.m., he hits me up and said, "Hey, it's a final deal. It's a go." And I woke up this morning and I booked my flight. I'll be arriving in New Orleans tomorrow night. And I'm going to be bringing Wendy Whatnot with me and Glitterbug with me. So it'll be us teaming up. We have a couple more volunteers who are probably going to make it, but I'm not sure. So yeah, this, from what I understand, this gentleman has a house full of treasures. Y'all have seen it.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's,
crazy.
Wild.
yeah, it's pretty wild. And he's at risk of losing his house. So he's trying to
Right.
liquidate this stuff. And so we're trying to, put about $90,000 in his pocket. And I was like, okay, well, give me 5 to 6 days, and I think I can do that. So
Right.
that's the mission. We're gonna go there and try to help him save his house, and also give people here on Whatnot a really good show and wonderful prices and just good
Amazing
entertainment.
inventory.
Yeah, it is.
Amazing
Yeah,
inventory
if
too.
I'm not sure if you'll have a chance. You're certainly more than welcome, but the video is crazy. But I want to take a step back for a second because again, we've sold on other platforms, and this speaks to what I just said a second ago. I don't know how much is in that house, but there is a shit ton of money.
Yep.
In the collectible industry,
Yeah.
with cards, Pokemon, and collectibles and jewelry is the hottest thing on the market right now. So it just speaks to the fact that you have someone who sells on eBay, has seemingly hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory,
Yep.
but in
But
no
can't move
way
it
possible
in the amount
liquidate
of time.
that
That's right.
in a couple of days.
That's the power of Whatnot.
You gotta think about that, man. Like
Yep.
not you, but the audience,
Yeah.
right? Like
in general, right.
in general, like he sells on eBay. Like so you could say, okay, why don't you just drop your prices? Do a 20% off coupon.
He'd never do it in
for
time.
any of those who've ever sold on eBay, and then you'd
Right.
be able to push this stuff out the door versus bringing you and a team in, and you can liquidate enough of that where you can obviously get paid for your services and you can help the dude save his house because that's what it's about. The
Yep.
net result of that is that the audience gets a good show and they can buy cool stuff, right?
Yep.
But the real reality is you're helping someone save their house in probably the only fashion that's possible to liquidate that much stuff
In
less
that amount of
than a
time.
couple weeks.
Right.
That's
Yep.
crazy if you really think about it.
No,
That's
no
the
doubt
power.
about it.
So that's super cool. So that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. Hopefully I can get into the show and buy stuff before people start piling in. 'Cause, you know, we're resellers, man. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
Like, dang it.
we want to get the stuff for cheap. So
Rah, congrats on that givey. That was
yeah, so
courtesy
guys,
of Gamers Collectibles.
Gamers
Guys, if you are
Collectibles.
not following him, please do so.
yeah, gamers,
Great
thank
guy.
you so much. And you want to give
And we're gonna do our next one too, right after.
Next one.
It looks like we got a few we gotta do here.
So while she's doing that, been watching the shows more and more and more. I gotta ask, bro, is there a dog farting epidemic where you live? Like serious, bro.
Guys, get in
is
that
there
giveaway.
something
That one
happening?
is courtesy of Glitterbug.
Is there something happening in your part of the country where dogs are just farting it up?
What is
Right?
happening?
What's going on with that?
What did I miss?
I try to be goofy, throw in some entertainment, and I got to give my girl, my sister Inga, some credit. One time I was watching her show, and I heard her tell people, if you don't get in this giveaway, there's a new update, and she made up some bullshit about a new update, and I was like, yo, that is so badass. I'm stealing that from you, Inga. So I just started making up the most randomest shit about if you don't follow or get into the giveaway, what's going to
That's
happen.
right. That's right.
And we've just gone down like this crazy ass rabbit hole with cats and dogs and the app deleting and Trump calling me and telling me if you don't get in this
That was
fucking
actually pretty
giveaway.
funny, bro. I gotta be honest, that was pretty
So
funny.
yeah, so we've been
Speaking of funny.
What happened when I missed it?
Behind you. Question.
Yeah, man. Does this make you feel a certain way?
How's
Oh man,
I
bringing
feel like
back
they need a
memories.
bubble bath or
Yeah,
something.
man.
Yeah,
That,
yeah. Bringing back memories right there.
We don't know if those are good or bad memories. So we have uh, watched this whole thing develop. We watched your channel. Again, going back to the first show where I didn't know who the hell you were. I just know you were hitting 10,000. You were giving away some money. You had the table with all the names on it. I thought it was super cool. Because again, we come from the sales world, so all those things resonate. But you still didn't know how to do any of that stuff. You don't know how to do any of that stuff until you know how to do it. And even when you think you know,
right.
you don't know. So before we go down that road, we've watched you give away shit tons of money in the community. How did that come about? Have you always been that way, where you give back and when you're blessed, you turn around and bless other people? Were you inspired to do that? How'd that come about, man? Because there's not anyone on the app, very few people, should I say,
That are going to Walmart and spending
that
$5K
that
and
are
giving
that
it
are
to
dropping
people.
that kind of stuff in
Right.
the community,
Which is amazing.
with no real expectation of return. So how'd that come about,
Yeah, so I guess just growing up and stuff, I've always just trying to try to be a lover, try to be a somebody that cares and gives to people and stuff like that. And I've always told myself if I've ever gotten into a position that I would most certainly be very giving. And so, I give money to homeless. I've donated money to charities and stuff like that. And over the past couple of years, I've been really getting myself into a position where I have a little bit of extra money, I guess you could say, that I don't mind giving back to the community. Over my 42 years of living and experience, the more that I live and learn, the more that I've realized that energy and karma is absolutely just a real thing. And it's not necessarily that I want something or that I need something in return, but I know if I'm giving and it's 100% authentic, and I know that is going to return tenfold. And
Yeah.
I have seen it happen so many
Always.
times. And I've done it just blind, you know what I'm saying? Not expecting anything, no expectations. And then like sometimes it hits me and I'm like, man, I can't believe that happened to me. How the hell did I get myself into a situation just like the other day when I got Gary Vee to co-host on my show?
Yeah,
I
that was
I
super cool.
That was
truly
awesome.
truly believe in some of the things that I do, and the positions or the things that come back and happen to me for the better, or because of the things that I'm doing for the
Right.
better itself. And I
Right.
truly believe in that. And I think, when I was growing up in sports and playing football, they always told us to do the right thing when even no one's looking. And I'm not perfect. I've made so many mistakes in my life and I still continue to make mistakes, but I try to improve myself every single day, and I try to do the best thing when nobody's looking and when everybody's watching at the same time. And I've seen the karma and the energy come back tenfold. So that's kind of where it came from. And one day I just thought, well, hell, let's go down to Walmart and give back to the community. And the first time I did that was right after I got suspended for the cucumbers in the
I was going to say,
bathtub.
this is a great segue what we're about to go into.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I wanted to come back with a bang and just let everybody know that that suspension did not bother me, and that I had a bunch of people that have my back. And this
Right.
community, I am really deep in this community. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I did that show, we had over 1,000 people in that show. There were
Yep.
so many people taking care of me. We were taking care of people in the Walmart. And so I felt really good about how that show came about. And so I've done it 2 more times since then. And it feels good to do that, like
It
the other
does.
day when we were at Walmart, that child was filling up his whole grocery cart full of
For
stuff.
his birthday.
And I didn't know it at the time, but I
Yeah,
paid for it. And he was like, bro, that's for my birthday. And I just felt so good about that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Right.
That was awesome. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and again, we can relate with that. We've been involved in nonprofit stuff. We started a nonprofit, founded and started a nonprofit where we gave life-saving equipment to firefighters in their fight against cancer.
Yeah, so when you say first responders, that really
it changes
that changes that
it
touches our
changes your
heart.
mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no real expectation of return, but it puts you in a different mindset. It's actually a really cool thing. I would recommend for those who haven't done
volunteer work
volunteer
or
work,
anything. Yeah.
the local food bank, Christmas time where you donate to anonymous families.
Adopt a family.
Those things are all, they affect you differently, and they affect you. It's exponential the older you get.
Yes.
It's exponential the older you get.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
But now, at the same point, Kory, to be fair, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that don't see the side of Kory. They may have seen the bad stuff, right?
Or hear
right, or heard the bad
the
stuff.
bad stuff, right?
So whenever the cucumber pickle incident 2024, the great incident of 2024.
Is that what got you suspended?
For the very first time, that's what I was suspended for. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So the thought process would be, without knowing you, that the idea of going to Walmart and giving away was to make you seem like a good guy, right? And I'm sure we're not the first person that has thought that, right?
Sure.
Or has echoed what other people have thought.
Right.
But that's why I asked you, how did you get here, right? If you've gone through life and you've donated and you've given, then that's just an extension of that. But on the surface, it could have seemed to people that was just a way to make Kory look like a good guy.
Sure.
So, but I think your audience clearly knows that that's not the case, because you had people in the chat that were just like, "Hey, you're not this, you're not that." And your fans were killing them, bro. I watched that shit. They were like, "Get the freak out of this, get out of here." Yeah. This man's in the community doing great stuff, and that's gotta feel good, right? To have that many people to have your back in a situation like that when you're out there trying to do good stuff, right?
Yeah. So I think the people who are negative towards me most likely have never even met me, and they do not know who I am. For the most part, the people that I have met, shook hands with, broke bread with, made some money with, did business with, and have seen me personally, those people know who I am, and they have my back. And I've seen it. I've seen those people take my back because they have taken phone calls. They have gotten messages that people have said some things about me, and they were like, "No, you don't know who Kory is. Go away."
Right.
And so I think people, unfortunately, jealousy and envy is a motherfucker. And I wouldn't know anything about it, and I don't wish nothing but the best for those people who speak negative of me. But when you're doing big things, your people are going to find a way to hate you. I could have saved a baby from a burning house, and they would have told me that I should have ran in sooner, or I could have killed the kid or something. They're always going to find some kind of way to be negative. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
well, success paints a target on your back, man.
It does. And we're not even near the growth that you are. Been on as long and as active as you are, and we've even experienced some of that stuff ourselves.
You can see it on every scale. You can see it.
And we are very not cliquey. We don't get involved in anyone's shit, anything like that. And it'll still somehow work its way.
Right.
It's just, you just got to be able to navigate your way through it, right?
Well, we got almost sucked into that vortex about 8 months in.
Yeah, but the good news is that we're in our 50s and we recognize it, and we go, okay, we're not in a good place right now.
Yeah.
We got to do something different.
Yeah, not playing that.
So the older you get, the more you realize what doesn't serve you, right? And you can pivot. But with all the things and the controversies and stuff, because we all know the controversies that are out there that you have in your name that people have talked about, what do you think? Is there anything that you regret, or not necessarily regret, or is there anything that you grew from the most? Like, what is there any one thing that where you excelled your growth because of it?
Differently.
Because I've done some shit. I've said some things. People that I meet, they're always, "You should run for office." I'm like, run for office? If you found out some of the stuff I did, you would not be saying that.
You don't want us. Nowhere near public service, bro.
You wouldn't want that. Is there anything that you think was the one pivoting moment where you really grew from it? Because we all grow. We're in our 50s. We still do. Right. Like, shit, I shouldn't have said that. Shit, I shouldn't have done that. Is there anything
or done it differently
for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I've done a lot of stuff in my life that I don't think was good. Right. But, how I've changed and how I've learned and how I've improved, makes me who I am, I believe, but I definitely don't worry about what people say about me. You know, they act like their shit doesn't stink and they've never made a mistake before.
Right.
And then some of the things that are said about me are just absolutely not true. You know, a lot of people probably don't know this, but I did run for governor of Texas, and I was involved in the political movement when it came to open carry Texas, when it came to free the weed Texas. I was in an activist movement that we were on the Tonight Show. We were on RT television, ABC News. I was in the Rolling Stones magazine. So when I ran for governor of Texas, there was a smear campaign that was going on about me, and these people made up anything and everything they could to get people to not like me. But
Right.
my message of freedom, my message of independence and self-reliance was very strong. So I went to the convention of Texas as a libertarian, and I lost by 6 votes to get onto the ballot to run for governor of Texas.
Right.
So I did really well, and I ran as a libertarian, but I pulled in from all areas. I pulled in Democrats, I pulled in Republicans, I pulled in non-voters. A lot of people don't know this, but non-voters are actually the largest group of voters that there are.
That's right.
And I pulled a lot of those people into my convention, and it was the
Undecided.
first time I ever ran for governor of Texas. I was an elected official to the state of Texas for the Republican Party. I was on the chair committee that makes up rules and goes over financials. So I was really, really heavily invested into sending the message of freedom to people and getting people's hearts and minds to change.
Right.
And then after running for governor of Texas, I wanted to switch gears and kind of get away from dedicating my life to trying to promote the message of freedom, because a lot of people don't really give a shit about it. And then there was a lot of people stabbing me in the back and running my family through the mud. And I was just like, you know what? I want to spend some more time with my kids. They're getting to be about 12, 13 years old, and I just want to focus on them. So that's what I did. And I've had a bunch of people ask me to do it again, but I just won't. I won't do it.
It's a nasty business.
Hey,
Yeah.
It's a
chat.
nasty business.
How many people in the chat, if you would respond, knew that Kory ran for political office? Wire in the chat. How many people we knew? How many people in the office knew that Kory ran for political office? That's actually
We did. We knew.
that's kind of crazy. First of all, politics
It's nasty.
is
It's
a
a
dirty
nasty
business.
Yeah, it's a nasty business.
Social media is also a dirty business.
Yeah, and
those two
and then
things
now
together
the aspect of social
is
media along with
absolutely
it
nasty.
is even tenfold. That's exactly right.
Right.
And
Well, hold on a second. So hold that thought for 1 second.
I forgot already. When you do that, I forget. So go ahead.
Oh, you could have jotted down somewhere. What did you take from that? And how did that transfer or carry over to
translate to
what you've
whatnot
been able to do
with whatnot? Right.
Yeah, so I learned a lot about myself as a person, and I grew really thick skin, not really caring about what anybody thought about me and just focusing on my goal and my mission and moving forward, because I know if I focus on the drama, the naysayers, the negativity, I'm not getting shit done and I'm
That's right.
just standstill. And so
That's right.
instead of focusing on that, I move forward, just keep fucking going, because I know one of the greatest things to have as revenge is success, and to keep going and to ignore the noise. So that's one of the main things I definitely learned from that. I learned a lot about other people as well. I learned a lot about the system, and how corrupt it is behind the scenes, and
Yeah,
how divided people are. And I didn't want to be
tribal,
divided.
how tribal people are.
They're very tribal.
Yeah, no doubt.
Incredibly tribal.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So that's why you can come into my show, and from time to time you'll hear me say, I don't care what you did as far as who you voted for. If you didn't vote, I don't care where you come from, what color your skin is, what color your eyes are, what color your hair is. Anyone's more than welcome into my chat. This is, a time for us to get loose, just hang out and have some fun and enjoy life. Because if you go to other places, like sometimes Facebook is fucking brutal. The people on Facebook,
not sometimes, brother.
like
all the time.
we
got suspended today. We got freaking suspended today, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. I was actually posting a post for this podcast.
Does it have anything to do with the naked pics?
Oh, I shouldn't added the nudes.
No.
I should have left the nudes out.
They take care of
trying to be edgy, you know?
Yeah.
No, so, and then as I'm doing it and I hit share, just posting, it's like, you've been suspended. If you appeal. I was like, what the shit is this?
Well, Facebook is much like Whatnot. There's no one to talk to.
I hate Facebook.
Yeah.
But to your point, right? So we typically run a little segment.
Kraken said because Kory's face was on the post.
Yeah, she hates.
That's what I was thinking.
She hates when I do it, but every week I do a Whatnot for reseller update.
Oh, because he hates that group.
It's always fucking drama, man. Every week is something incredibly stupid.
You're bitching about something rather than what you say. Just keep moving.
I say that to say that, the channel for a lot of people, which is the whole premise of the stuff we're talking about, right? The stuff that you've done, how you've grown, the idea of giving back, seller support, all this stuff. And there's a ton of people, by the way, if you're in a chat and you do seller support, please shout yourself out because everyone can add value. A lot of people are funneling through Facebook. And one of the first things they're coming across is all of these stupid Whatnot for reseller groups where you just have a bunch of people in doing exactly what you just said.
Right.
Someone goes in and asks a legitimate question or they have legitimate concern or they're uneducated. And when I say uneducated, I mean like they're not intelligent. I mean they're uneducated as to the Whatnot platform because Whatnot does not have a system.
They do, but they don't make it easy to find it and to get to it.
I mean,
and it seems like it's missing a lot of information.
I can give you a book on brain surgery, but if you read it, you're probably not going to be a brain surgeon. You probably need to, get some hands-on.
Right.
So they're getting funneled into these groups, and these groups are just tearing people apart. And a lot of that's a delivery system. That's a farming system for people to come on Whatnot. So we need a better platform.
Right.
Absolutely.
Where people can come in, they feel like they can ask questions. The questions aren't where can I get stuff to sell? Like, don't ask that question. That's stupid, right? Like,
no one's going to tell you that.
Give me your source. Don't do that, guys.
They'll give you some vague information.
Chat,
but no one's
don't do
that,
right? So hopefully Chat's not doing that. But shipping, social side, growing the room, raid trains, all this stuff. There needs to be a platform where we can help people understand that Whatnot's not hard, but it's not easy.
Yep.
Right. So that's why we have so much respect for people doing seller support because we need it. I learn something every single time I jump into someone's seller support. Yeah. I learn something new. Yeah. And once you get to a certain stage of your business, the growth that you make are incremental. They're incremental growth, but it can have such a monumental effect. It's not like you're learning a whole new system. It's just one thing, one shipping thing. The thing that I shouted you out last week, and we did it on last week's Seller Help, and we had 40 people that sent us a private message. Is I listened to your, which I don't even, what did you go for, like 10 hours, bro, in your Seller Help that day?
It was like 7.5.
It might as well have been 10. Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, you did like an academy or something like that, didn't you? Like some kind of seminar. That's right.
So the one, I took a lot of stuff away, but the one thing was over 5 pounds. You set everything to flat rate.
Yep.
Okay. And I got off of that, went to Nita and I said, we're switching how we do it. She's like, I don't understand, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't get it. I was like,
I have no clue. I was like, once I hear something like that, it makes complete sense to me. But how would you ever know that?
Right.
How would you ever know that? That's not a trial and error thing. That's a learned thing.
Yep.
And as soon as you implemented it, or as soon as you taught it, I digested it, explained it to her. We put it into our next show, which was a raid train.
Worked out perfectly.
Max 921 shipping.
Yeah.
And instead of having a $70 to a $90 overage, it was like $22.
Yep.
Because we controlled how
we
shipping,
spent the money.
How we managed the shipping for anyone that exceeded 921. So bottom line is we shared it on the last Seller Help, and I'm convinced that there's a dozen or more people that came away from that going, I have a completely different perspective on how to manage the 921 shipping.
The reduced shipping. Right.
Because then what that does is adds more value to the buyer, which adds more value to your channel. Right. So it's this whole thing. So appreciate you on that. But I grabbed so many other things.
That was an epiphany for us, for sure.
That thing was like an instant.
Guys, you got 2 seconds to get in that giddy courtesy of Luna Loot.
Luna Loot. And we met Luna.
We also missed, because we were talking, guys, and this is why we only do 4 sponsor giveaways, is because we want to give you the attention that your money buys. And we actually, Tiny Artist, I believe, was the one before that. But if moderators can, please just put, oh, Tiny the Artist. Look at
Tiny
that
the
right
Artist, and
there.
he's rocking the shirt.
Oh, that's a badass shirt.
Yeah, man.
We need a shirt like that.
Yeah, hook it up.
Mods, can you just please put all 4 sponsors in the chat,
She
please, and let them go for it?
And guys,
she,
please.
she also painted that picture.
Yeah, you're talking
Oh,
about
she
that.
did.
That's
Okay.
aren't you? You're going to see her for something else, isn't it?
Uh,
You got something coming up where you're seeing her, or she's
I think
making
he's
another
coming.
painting, or something's happening with her, right?
No, not necessarily, but I just got my garage done where I'm going to end up doing my shows, and I would love for Tiny to come over and do a mural on my wall.
That would
All
be
right,
awesome.
well, there you go.
Yeah, that would be awesome
something's
in the
happening.
back.
So
that would be absolutely
guys,
awesome.
if you have done the sponsor giving, as we say, please take the moment to shout yourself out, what you do, how you do it, where we can find you. Let's bookmark some shows. Let's show some love. We got Kory on the show. So much appreciative of your time. So here's your chance. We got a big audience in here, so let people know what you do and how you do it. So what's the biggest change that you've noticed on the app? Because I know that when we first started last January, it was like everything was simple. Now I wouldn't say it's more complicated, but changes happen more often. What's the biggest change you think, the biggest positive change that you think has happened on the app?
So I think one of the biggest positive things for myself, and I don't know if it's happened for others just yet, because I talk to people, like I just got off of a one-on-one consulting call just like 10 minutes before I got on this with you guys, and then I talked to somebody out the night before. But one of my biggest positive changes here on the platform has been the capability to control the customer service aspect behind the scenes 100%. Because what Whatnot used to do is they did the customer service themselves, and so I would not see anything that took place. And
Right.
so now it's opening up my eyes so much more to the mistakes that I'm making and how I can improve my business here on Whatnot. So I'm getting all the refunds. I get to communicate with all of the buyers who are missing an item. Maybe the item broke. Maybe it wasn't described properly. Whatever the case may be, and then I get to work that out on by myself. And I wanna be the I want to I pretty much refund like 95% of the requests, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really argue with anybody, but if I feel like they're reaching like really, really bad, then I might you know, then I might probably deny it. But for the most part, that's the biggest thing I've seen on the app is allowing me to take over the customer service aspect behind the scenes and handle everything myself. It's really opened up my eyes to improve my Whatnot business.
Yeah, we were actually one of the benefits to us was um not having to deal with that anymore, right? Because if you're on the bay, you're
Yep.
dealing with all of that. And
Right.
so I was kind of like, well, that's kind of a perk for us because you just get tired of dealing with people. But now that we see to have that account health, and now it's easier to see who's doing what. At
Yep.
the same time, there's a lot of people that are milking and abusing the system.
Right.
No doubt.
A lot. And it cost us our wings, which I know you talked about wings. You're like, wings ain't shit, doesn't mean shit. You're not premier, anything, doesn't matter.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah. Well, I
Let me
mean,
put it
let's be
that way.
honest. You don't get more people in your shows.
Right.
You don't really get any extra customer service benefits. They tell you you do, but you don't. And then
Right.
they try to promote like you actually get like a big discount on fees, but it's 0.8%.
Minimal. Right.
I mean, we're talking like 80 cents every $100, which is breadcrumbs.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's nonsense.
Well, so that's a good point, right? So we have a wide swath of stuff that we're talking about, and focus. Okay, so we serve different roles in our relationship. I'm the hunter gatherer. She pretty much does everything else. She's hyper focused on the wings because the wings.
Well, I thought that it would reduce our commissions.
Well, right, but it also means something. It is an indicator that you put extra effort into what you're doing.
No doubt.
Right? It is an indicator, but.
Right, because we're 5 stars.
Right,
we still got it 99% fulfillment, 98.7 something, whatever the other one is.
Right, but
our account health is perfect.
But in the world of Whatnot, the question is, where do you put your energy?
Right.
right? So once you break it down, just like everything else, once you break it down, you have to decide the value. Once you figure out the value, then you have to decide how much energy you want to put into it. So again, kudos to reading the fine print, as you said earlier today.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just not somewhere
Right, because it made me look at it differently.
It doesn't mean we're going to stop striving for
No,
ultimate customer
we're going to
value.
keep our 5 stars,
But
right?
No
something
doubt.
trivial that doesn't have a lot of value, we need to focus, because whatnot is, it's not
Right.
hard, but it's not easy.
Right.
Right. So we're going to spend our energy focusing on other stuff. So,
but I think with that being,
it's funny.
It's funny because it's like a split. We're getting a split opinions on doing your own customer service. Some people are like, I hate it. It's the worst thing we ever did. I wish I didn't do it. And then other people are like you, like, no, I like this. I can kind of control my business.
Yes.
So, and we like to be able to control our business.
Right.
You know,
yeah, well, we
so
had
I
Locker Block
think it would be something. I think it would be something that, yeah, Locker Block.
They hated it.
They hated it.
They were in the beta program.
They're like, we're in that program and we hate it.
So,
right.
I do like managing the customer service aspect, because it is important that you keep a 5-star. It is important that all those things are, you know, and plus we feel good whenever someone has a problem. We're much like yourself, right? Just, you know what, refund the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless
they're trying to use the system.
My thoughts is if someone makes a purchase from me and then they go through Whatnot, I may never hear or see that person ever again because I didn't handle the issue myself. Now, if I can handle the issue myself and talk to that person and make the thing right, then they come back and shop with me. And that's extremely important to me.
Right.
Yeah, retention. So
Yes.
if anyone's ever been in the sales business or any kind of business really where you're providing some sort of service or product, retention of customers is the lifeline of your business.
Yeah, it takes 10 times the effort to get a new customer than it does to retain.
Yeah, so that's another epiphany for me, Kory, because if you're allowing Whatnot to deal with your customer service, again, it doesn't give you a chance. As much as we put in our bio, contact us if there's any issues, we will always make it right. You can do that all day long. You're still going to have those people that just don't want to do it.
You're leaving it in the hands of people that don't have a vested interest.
Yeah, they're just going to they're going to click a couple buttons and say it was this, when we all know it really wasn't, or on certain things. So
plus it makes you
it's a big epiphany for me.
You said it in the beginning, right? It allows you to relook at your business. What you can do better. It allows you to resharpen your sword to do better. But it also does not leave retention in the hands of someone that, quite frankly, does not have a vested interest in growing your business. They have a vested interest in eliminating that issue so they can move on to the next one, which may or may not help you grow your business. So,
guys, all 4 of those sellers that are in Whistle's announcement, please give them a follow. All 4 of them bought a sponsored giving.
Gamers Collectible, and Glitterbug. So
please,
you guys
go to them and bookmark their shows and give them a follow. Amazing. So someone just asked Kory, you want to take some questions maybe?
Yeah,
but I did see a question.
In the chat. If you have questions for Kory, questions that you haven't already heard.
Respectfully.
Yeah. So don't ask him about farting dogs, because I've already done that. So you can't.
Or pickles.
Yeah, or pickles. You can't do that, guys. These got to be new, fresh questions, right? We work really hard.
Well, someone asked an important question. They want to know, where can they find out or get information about your consulting? Do you want to let them know where?
Yeah, so it's actually in my Buy It Now. You can go, even if I'm not live, you can go into my Buy It Now and purchase the consulting. And basically what that provides is it provides 1 hour of me and you on the phone. Maybe even we need to do a FaceTime because I need to show you some stuff. I listen to your questions and then I try to, maybe implement what I think could help improve the business. And then you get to keep my cell phone number. It's my personal cell phone number. And if you have any issues, I'm basically like Whatnot's freaking customer service myself. I have people text and call me every single day like, hey, Kory, what can I do with this? Or, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, how do I fix this shipping issue? So it happens to me all the time. And I think this is another very important thing that I've implemented into allowing into helping the community, and the community gives back to me as well. I mean, there's a lot of people that'll just sit in my shows and hang out because they appreciate and care, and we have a personal relationship, and they like maybe a service that I provided or something that I've done personal. So I think the consulting calls are very important. There's no way that you can call Whatnot on the phone and ask them questions, but you can call people like me and get help. And I'm always down to help. I text message, phone call, whatever. I'm always busy, but I can always make time.
Yeah,
Right.
we did a consulting call
We do one with you.
about a year ago. So yeah.
Yeah, we
So it
did.
was very helpful at the time because again, there's so many stages to whatnot. So I would just implore people that, first of all, you don't know what you don't know. And if you try to go down this journey by yourself, it's a rough and a rocky
And it's
road.
always something different. Every
And it's
single
always
day, it's something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to talk about this real quick before we let you go, because we've already been on now, hour and a half.
Hour and 10 minutes.
Somebody asked, Angie Sells asked, and I really wanted to touch on this for
I have
you.
the same question.
Yeah. So on your liquidation, when you go and liquidate for people, is it a set fee or is it a percentage of the sales? How do you work that out with them?
Yeah, for those who
If
may
you don't
be
mind telling
interested,
us.
for those who
So
may be interested,
I
what is
wanted
it cost them for your service?
Yeah, I wanted to have something that would fit everyone's budget because a lot of the times I get calls because people are hurting for funds and they just need to liquidate some stuff. Maybe they got into a stink. Maybe they just bought too much stuff and they're in over their head. So to get me to come out, there's absolutely no money up front. I do not take or accept any money up front. This will all come out on the back end. So I do a 50-50 split. So if I come out, I sell your items and I do a 50-50 split after it's all said and done. Depending on how much I sell, I might travel or I might do like a partial travel cost, which is usually like 150 bucks, and then a $60 per day. I take care of my air flight, I take care of my hotel, I take care of my car rental and all my food.
Okay.
So I take on a lot of cost up front.
Yeah.
All of the cost is going to come out on the back end. So if we
Right.
do like 20 grand and whatnot pays me out 18 grand, then we would split the 18, 9, and 9. And I never ask for anything up front. And I usually pay within 2 to 5 days, depending on my travel schedule and how busy I am. So my payout's pretty fast.
I think that's pretty generous. I thought you were going to say something more on like the 60-40 because, or 70-30.
Yeah,
because
that's actually kind of crazy, man.
You're still doing all the packing. You have to buy all the. How does that work? You bring stuff with you, or do you buy it there? Like,
so I bring my printer, my laptop, some of the stuff for the computer work and all that. I usually get a hold of these people a couple weeks beforehand, or maybe even a month or two, and I just get on a quick phone call with them and get them to order in the USPS boxes that are free.
good, right? Okay.
Maybe have a couple pieces of tape there and some poly mailers, and I'm usually pretty good with having the shipping supplies already there because most of the people are already on eBay or on whatnot,
Exactly right. Yeah.
and they have the shipping supplies.
Right.
But from time to time, we'll have things ordered in, and it'll be there when I get there.
Okay.
Yeah, from a business standpoint, that is actually really generous.
It is because you haven't even paid taxes on that yet either.
Well, you're getting 50% of the net proceeds.
Right.
You're covering all of your own expenses, and to some extent, you're ultimately handling some, or if not all, customer service.
No doubt about it. And another thing is if I have returns or something's gone wrong, I'm the one that has to eat that cost. I will rarely reach out to anyone and be like, bro, that was a $50 refund. Can you split that refund with me? I just don't do that. So I eat the cost as well.
Right, that's right. You're also carrying that as well. Someone asked if well, what about your helpers, that you have your helpers come in and you pay them? Does that come out of your portion, or do you take that out first?
It's all me.
Your portion. Yeah, that's very generous.
Yeah,
that's incredibly generous of you, dude.
That's a very generous model.
Yeah.
Because again, everyone has a perception, right? So when you first started doing this, as a business person that comes from the business world, I started thinking through the numbers. I was like, well,
how would that work?
Why would you do that as the one that has the product, right? Not knowing what the numbers are, not knowing what the percentages are, and that is actually, if that works for you, then everyone is benefiting.
Absolutely.
Everyone's benefiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
In fact, I've got some stuff in the garage, bro.
Let's go.
We can go be in Jayville anytime. We have 3 storage units full.
We have a 50-foot unit full of shit. So, all right. So, a couple things, chat. So, anyone have other questions for Kory? Again, your time, dude. I don't know how you do it, man. I consider myself.
Actually, there's a good question in the chat right now.
I consider having a high motor. Your motor is
it's
crazy.
a workhorse.
It's like 6th gear all the time. But before we get to that question, talk about Orlando again, and talk about, for those who are just coming in, talk about what you got coming up in Louisiana.
Wait, real quick. Let me do this question that's in here. So
Okay.
someone said you do long shows, Kory, or who is it? Bee and Bougie said you do long shows and are constantly socializing. How do you recharge? It can be very draining, and it can.
Yeah, it can be somewhat draining, I guess you can say, but I always just focus on understanding that I am extremely blessed to be in the position that I am. There's so many people that wish they had the style that I have and the followers that I have and the amount of money that I can bring in, and that is my motivation to keep going. I got out of my corporate job when I was 37. I'm 42 now, and I will never go back. That is my motivation to keep going. I'm very blessed to be in the position that I am, and I want to put my team on my back, and I want to I want to help rise up other people as well. And so I think I just keep those things in mind and I keep going. You know, at times, yes, it can be draining, and I'm like, holy shit. But I'm like, you know what? Get the fuck up and keep going. There's a lot that I'm benefiting from. I'm in the best position that I've ever been in my life, and I do not take that for granted. And I want to stay humble, and I just want to keep being positive and be a resource for people in this community and help out.
Yeah, one thing that's really cool, what it seems to me, the more I watch and the more, and we had the pleasure of meeting you in Tampa.
Yes, that's right. We met you in Tampa.
I thought I was a tall dude. You're actually bigger than I am.
All these tall people, I was like, dang, everybody's
holy
tall.
shit, bro! Like, I'm 6'1", everybody was like towering over me.
We didn't get to talk that much because it was so busy and so short.
But what you said something earlier, right? Most of the people that say or do not nice things don't know you. And we did not have a lengthy conversation. We kind of met and said what's up and did our thing, but you could just, the vibe's different. Vibe's always different in person than it is, your perception of someone. So that was super cool. But we will make it a point to try to get to Maryland so that we could actually, because there's going to be a lot of great people there. So
I would love to see you there. And if anybody's interested in going to the seller meetup in Maryland, that's going to be September 13th. There's an event that happens once a year in Frederick, Maryland. It's called In the Streets. They shut down the entire street. It's a huge party. Me and Abandoned Treasures are hosting it. So if anybody wants the RSVP link to it, feel free to send me a message or Abandoned Treasures.
Yes, he sent me the link today. I'm hoping that we can get there.
Yeah, it'll be.
I have to have a small surgery. So we have our first grandbaby is going to be here July 14th.
Yeah. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So we'll be out, and I'll be probably they're out in Vegas. They're moving back to Florida, but they're out in Vegas right now. So I'll be out there for about a month. As soon as I get back, I'm supposed to have a surgery at the end of August. So hopefully, it's nothing major. So I think that we'll probably be recovered and able to get out there.
Glitterbug says you and her got some cucumber stuff coming up. I don't know what that's all about. I'm just telling you.
Look, me and Bug are like this.
You what I read. I'm just telling you what I read, bro. I don't know what that is. You know what it is. I'm sure Glitterbug knows what it is, but y'all do what y'all got to do, man. But
Well, hey, that's how the cucumbers evolved. She did a show in the bathtub with cucumbers one time, and so I was on a roast train raid, and that was the whole purpose of roasting her with cucumbers in the bathtub. Not a lot of people understood where that came from, but I was impersonating Glitterbug, and so that's how that came about.
Was that the same? That wasn't the Michael Myers or Jason, was it?
That was Halloween.
No, totally different.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty badass. I gotta be honest with you.
That was good too. That was good.
That was really good.
Guys, so Kory is probably the jet is on the tarmac right now, waiting to take off to go somewhere, I'm sure, or he has a call lined up in 3 minutes. Any more questions for Kory? And again,
dude, we really appreciate you. Yeah, it's so awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate.
Thank you.
We're really excited about it.
Dynamic channel,
excited
amazing growth, and I personally come away with a different perspective than I had an hour ago, because you got to understand people's backstory, right?
Yep.
Understand where they come from to understand where they're at and where they're going. And one thing that I do know is, I was in the business of training people for a living, so I'm pretty good at reading people, really good at reading people. And you don't get to know people over the internet. You get to know them on person, or you get to know them from talking behind the scenes. and you are a genuine dude.
I think
you're raising people up around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what the problem is in today's day and age with, the social media and all that and the internet is that people are very quick to judge or be the one judging. And it's like, it's not our job, and as we get older too, I'm not going to judge anyone based on what you tell me, and a lot of people do that. They're very quick to do that these days. And I think that it would behoove a lot of people if they would just kind of humble themselves a little bit and say, hey, you know what? I'm not perfect either. And we all grow from some shit that we've done or whatever in the past. And you gotta grow up and just,
You get, what'd you say? You were within 6 votes of getting on the ballot?
That's wild.
Yep.
Dude.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something, bro. They wouldn't let us anywhere near the courthouse if they knew what we did in the past. So, kudos.
By the way, I worked on the Ron Paul campaign in 2016.
Yeah.
I was a delegate for Ron Paul to the Texas convention in 2012.
Yeah. We're a big Ron Paul.
We were on the bridge holding signs, dude.
Yeah, he's probably as close.
We went to the debate here at UF.
He's close to the most reasonable politician.
I got his in the Fed book. He signed it for me.
Yeah. Ron Paul's a good dude. So.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So
unfortunately, we didn't get the man, but
it wasn't even close. But
I think he got cheated.
Absolutely. When we saw him in Iowa is when we were like, that's our dude. We were like, that's where I fall politically. That's our dude right there,
Yeah.
So it's funny.
So final thoughts. So Kory, if you could, we talked about a lot of stuff. Okay. Final thoughts. New seller coming on the platform. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And some of us who've been selling for a period of time don't know our ass from a hole in the ground. But new seller, it's the first thing they should do.
They should develop a schedule, a certain day and a certain time where they're going to go live consistently and not have an excuse for why they don't go live. They're going to get into this community. They're going to start networking with several different sellers and building a strong relationship in the community. They're going to bring the best customer service, honesty and integrity, low cost shipping, and provide really good items. Get really comfortable being in front of the camera and just enjoy yourself, have some fun, and just be supportive. And I think that's some of the best advice that I can provide in short.
Right. Keeping it real.
Again, we wish, as simple and direct as that is, we wish we would have had that advice in the beginning, because it just shapes, it shapes your journey. So by the way, if you're when you're in Orlando, if you need some help, let us know.
We really will come down.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're really good at that stuff. So
we're just a couple hours away.
KoryManX.
Dude, appreciate you so much.
And listen, we do have some connections in the music industry.
Now listen, okay. Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
All right, Eric Clapton.
Bro,
let us know.
Don't
come on, man.
Don't sleep on the opportunity for it. All right.
I love it.
Eric Clapton and Quincy Jones.
I don't even know my name.
These people are driving me insane.
They don't know. This is the beginning of a beautiful
bitches
music career.
Need to stay in their lane.
Holy shit. Hey, listen, one thing I will tell you, it'll be 37 years together. We're together. This year we're together. You don't want no part of her when she's mad, bro. So.
I'm never mad. What are you talking about? I'm sweet.
Yeah. Well, you're never mad because I pretty much do whatever you ask me to do. So. Kory, we love you, man. Thank you for everything you do for the community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time to come on here and communicate who you are, what you do. Give us some backstory. Give people a better idea of who Kory really is, including us.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And we look forward to being part of the community.
Hope you liked it. Hope you had fun.
Anything we can do that can help grow, please let us know. Yeah, and we're looking forward very much to Maryland. Yep. Hopefully she'll be fully recovered, but we're going to find a way to get there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Who should we raid? Anybody? Who should we raid, guys? Don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. Who should we raid?
Guys, KoryManX, amazing, dude. Amazing. I don't know how you do it.
Thank you, guys.
Your schedule's absolutely bonkers, bro. Absolutely bonkers.
Don't go anywhere.
Thank you to everyone that
put some bees in the chat.
Yeah, guys, bees in the chat.
And RTS.
Put RTS in the chat.
RTS and BBs.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much.
Bro.
Love you, dude.
Take
All
care,
right, let's
y'all.
see. Who are we gonna pick? We gotta pick somebody. Don't go anywhere. Don't go
All right, hold on.
anywhere. Who we picking? Who we picking?
Wait, I love said they can go live.
Ooh, Abandoned Treasures
Oh,
is live.
let's do
Sweet
Abandoned
home.
Treasures. Let's do Abandoned
Let's
Treasures.
fucking go.
Let's go. Abandoned Treasures. Here we
All
go.
right. Safe travels,
Peace in the
brother.
chat.
Man.
Love you,
Appreciate
dude.
you.